Hey, how is everybody? Looking forward to speaking a little bit today on product development, and this is part two. For nonprofit organizations. So in part one, we introduced the new product development process as a series of steps involved with developing a new product or a new service, a new offer. And so we'll continue and we'll finish those steps in this video lecture. And so once you have an idea and you've screened for an idea that makes sense, that is viable, the next step to move forward with the idea is to begin to develop it, develop the concept, eventually develop the actual product or the service. We do some testing along the way, and we eventually launch the product or commercialize it. So this talk then really focuses then on development through launch of the new product. And so that's what it is. Again, a vital portion of what we do is creating new ways to interact with the customer. So this is no different than any of those others where we want to develop a relationship with the customer and co-create value with them. And we use a process to do that, which would be the new product development process. So this part two then wraps up the bulk of those process steps, and we talk a little bit about the ramifications of each one. Let me know if you have any questions. Look forward to hearing from you. Thanks. All right, fantastic. What we're going to do is look at the product development process, starting from the concept development stage. So up to this point, we've looked at idea generation and idea screening in a prior video. Moving forward now, we'll look at the new product development process after the screening stage, starting with concept development and testing. So just to back up a little bit, we often think about concepts or idea of new products as being something that emerges from an opportunity. So we see opportunities either in a marketplace, or we see a new technology, or we see a hole or something that's missing from our competitors' product array, and we see opportunities that happen maybe in the environmental scan. So that's kind of a big deal that generates a lot of new products, is just seeing that there's an opportunity. The problem is we have to take the opportunity and transfer that into a new product idea, one that's viable, one that we want to consider for further development. So when we develop a concept, it means we've got an idea, but we need to tweak it and we need to change it and we need to see if we can't add to it and flesh it out. And just, kind of think about it this way. When you have an idea for something, a lot of times the first idea you have is okay, but it probably needs a little work. And then the more you think about it, the better the better you develop, the better the idea develops, and so on and so forth. So consider that we have a opportunity associated with adults who need low skill job training. So they need some job training. This isn't like high tech stuff, but low skill developmental type work. So there's kind of a need for that. And there's maybe an opportunity in that there's a community where this is a need and nobody else is satisfying it. Concept development then transforms the opportunity and places it in the context of potential new ideas. So we know what the opportunity and the need is. It's adults who are looking for low skill job training. We could satisfy that perhaps by offering a weekend training session at a local high school. Or another idea is evening workshops at a community center. That would be, kind of an opportunity we could take advantage of in satisfying this need. A third might be online learning modules. So here are three different product ideas or service ideas that we could engage in we might do one of these and we might try to evaluate them, but we're transferring the idea from an opportunity to something that we could actually create into a product or service. Developing ideas takes the opportunity then and establishes multiple ways that the opportunity could be addressed. Three things to think about as we're doing this development stage. We want to think of the problem and think of the solution from multiple points of view. So we want to think of this product from the customer's point of view, from the operations point of view, from other perspectives. We need to take a lot of time and a lot of thought and put those into our idea concept. So again, your first idea is never your best idea. You want to manage your idea and think about it and twist it and turn it and change it and modify it. So that's our last one, modifying and adjusting. After we have our initial idea, we need to get points of view from other people. We need to get other perspectives. And once we do that, then this modification and adjustment happens. So the idea becomes better and better and better. This leads us to the next step, which is concept testing. So once we have the idea fleshed out and we have the product that we think we're going to offer, then it's time for the market to begin to evaluate the idea. And we call this specifically a concept test. Now, what we're wanting to do is we're wanting to get feedback from the market on whether they like the concept of the idea. We don't necessarily have a product in hand, or we don't really have a service necessarily that we're launching or offering today, but we have an idea of one. So we can use interviews, we can use focus groups, and actually a lot of times we use surveys to survey people in terms of how likely they are to use the service that we're proposing. So the goal here is to obtain information so that we can continue to refine the concept, and also for us to be able to estimate initial market demand. So some of the things that we're asking if the idea or the concept for the product is clear. So is it understandable? We ask, why does this concept appeal to you? So we just in these spaces, put in what our new idea, our new product or service is. To what extent does this new idea meet your needs? Who would help you decide in either buying or using this new product or service? How likely are you to buy this new product or service? And how often would you buy or use this new product or service? Okay, so these are the types of questions we ask in a concept test, and we get a good idea of whether we should make any modifications and whether this product or concept is something that the consumer would like. So a key here is to be able to use this process, this stage, to improve the concept that we have, but also to validate in an external market whether this product has merit to move forward with. If these questions are not positively answered, and if we don't have a lot of real strong support from the marketplace on these questions, then that's a big red flag. We want to be very concerned about this. In fact, we may want to change our concept altogether and go with a different product idea if we're not getting a lot of support in the concept test stage. Which then leads us to the next step, which is going to be market development strategy. Okay, so by this stage, or by this time, the concept's moving forward. We have initial acceptance for our product concept within the market and also typically across the organization as well. So now we need to start developing the plan more from a marketing and a business perspective. So in a normal product development process for a for-profit firm, we introduce something called a Product Innovation Charter, or a PIC. So again, in a for-profit organization, this is something that we create that helps us move forward with the product. So the Product Innovation Charter. It describes, and it has like several components here. It's kind of like a written document that describes the specific market who will buy the product. So at this point, as I'm developing my marketing strategy, I need to know who's going to buy the product, and I want a written profile of who's going to buy the product and why it makes sense for them. I want to describe the product and its key advantages over current solutions, and I also want to include the price. So again, in this charter or this written document that I'm creating, I'm describing who should buy the product, who the market is or that's intended for, why somebody should buy the product, so its key advantages over current solutions. I want to talk about the long-term marketing objectives and what role this product will serve within the market and for the firm. Okay, so I want to talk about what I want to accomplish by launching this product, from a marketing perspective, from the market's perspective, and also from the firm's perspective. Okay, so the market development strategy that's constructed here then it uses something called a product innovation charter, and that's a term that you'll see in product development work for for-profit organizations specifically, but we can also carry it over into the nonprofit world here as well. And so we want to be very descriptive in making sure we understand who the market's for and who the product's for and such. You could almost think about this as a positioning statement. So when we do positioning with perceptual maps and things like that, we kind of create an image of the product for the consumer. Same kind of concept here. They're not identical, but they're very similar. If you were to look at a innovation charter and a perceptual, like a perceptual mapping technique, we really do a strong job describing the market and why our product is better than everybody else's in doing that. Okay, so then that leads us to our business analysis. So as we're moving forward, we're doing a business analysis. So this is like the fifth step here. When we look at the business analysis, we want to think about the product from the business model perspective. So we're going to ask a series of questions. We're going to think about kind of how this product fits into the organization. So price at this point and during the stage needs to be considered, and we want to think about how much revenue or what the revenue impact will be on the organization. So are we going to charge money for this product or service? How much will we charge, and how will that revenue be used within the organization? Simultaneously, and most importantly probably for a nonprofit, is to take into account the costs that are associated with this product or service. So if we're offering a service and there's very little revenue that we're generating specifically from it, then we need to consider, or anyways, whether there's revenue or not, we need to consider how much it's costing us to put the service on. So we have to do a really, really good job analyzing that. Also, another cost kind of concern or issue is how much operational capacity the nonprofit has. So if we add a new service, it's going to mean that we have to add resources like personnel, and it's going to distract us, and it's going to be one more thing we have to do. And the question is, operationally, can we handle that one more thing that we have to do? So operational capacity and being able to fit this into the normal workload will also be there. Fourth, impact on other products and service analyzed. So sometimes if we have a new offering, that new offering cannibalizes the rest of the things that we're doing. So we need to be concerned about cannibalization and how this new product or service is going to interact with existing products and services that we already have. And then finally, we want to take into strong consideration how the product will better position our organization from a branding perspective. Does this product create a new brand for us? Does it enhance our brand? Should we use a new logo? What's the name of it going to be? Those types of things where there's an interaction between the new product and the company or the organization and its brand. All right, so then moving forward, offer development. As we begin to do this offer development thing, right now we may not have a functioning product in hand. So we need to develop that. If it's a product that's tangible that you hold, you need prototypes and you need to develop it, and we need to actually produce it. If it's a service, then we need to get the process steps down, and we need to have raw materials available and things like that. So the offer development or the product development is the physical development, the research and development aspect of the product. If it's a service, again, then it's a process that we're creating where we want to establish the rules for it to be able to be followed so that the service can be duplicated over and over and over again. We may make some limited production runs at this particular stage, so we want to make sure if it's a product that we're able to produce it. The operations aspect of the organization need to be configured for production. We need to acquire raw materials, source our raw materials. We may do some quality control testing or beta testing where consumers try the product for a little while. So consumers are going to try the product in beta testing and then provide feedback regarding the actual product. And finally, things like packaging is arranged as well. So we're developing the product. We're developing whether it's a process again or a tangible product, the operational aspects of creating that value or the offer need to be developed. One of the last stages, market testing. Now, this stage here, a lot of firms will not do because they want to rush the product to market. But what we want to do in market testing is we want to confirm or test the actual value proposition and the marketing plan. So we launch the product at least to a small audience, and then we measure that audience's reaction to the product. So test marketing, then we launch the product to a small portion of the market on a limited basis, and we observe the effects of the marketing plan that's there. Okay, so sure that we want to ask things like how did the market react? Did the market hear? So did they get our communication about the market, about the product? Did they hear our advertising? Did they buy and use the product the way we anticipated? What were the most effective ways to communicate? Was the price set correctly? Was the product in its in the correct location? Was it offered at the correct times? What are the initial comments about the product, and should modifications be made? So again, this is like the product's being launched, and this is a real live consumer market, maybe who's trying the product or service out, and we're testing to see how well and how effective we were in launching the product. Then what we do with these results is we tweak and change our marketing plan. So if our market didn't really hear about the product, then we change how we distribute information about the product. We change aspects of the product, maybe the packaging or the pricing if we need to, where it's located, the distribution, the 4 Ps. We modify and change our 4 Ps in our business and our marketing plan if we need to reflect what the actual test results suggested in this product launch. Finally, we do introduction. We actually press the launch button. We implement the marketing plan and the strategy. We put into action operations. We actually produce the product. We execute our distribution strategy. So we have distribution relationships like with stores. We do point of purchase announcements. We do in-store activities with retailers. We actually ship our product. So our product's on trucks or it's in motion. We actually launch our advertising. So advertising hits the market so people can hear about it. And we begin to monitor progress and sales using key performance indicators. So KPIs are followed up here. And we watch for sales patterns. We watch to observe and make sure that our plan is, again, performing the way it's supposed to be doing. But I mean, think about it. Up to this point, we've market tested. We've concept tested. We probably beta tested a little bit. So there are 3 major testing elements that are done here before we ever launch the product. It should be in its best situation to be considered for success at this point. So that wraps it up. That carries through the entire process that we have at this point. We talked about concept development and testing. We talked about the marketing strategy formulation. We talked about business analysis, offer development, market testing, and then finally our introduction stage. And then incidentally, the introduction stage leads to the product life cycle that we talk about as lots of products. We have the PLC, the product life cycle, that we then carry through introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. Okay, so this is it. This is the part 2 then of product development. Let me know if you have any questions. Look forward to hearing from you. Thanks.